Have you ever found a really good lesson that focuses in on developing some social and emotional skills? For example, maybe it's one of those like throw kindness like confetti types of things. Or maybe it's an activity where students write down a few things that they're grateful for. Or maybe, students are going to create cards for the elderly to show care and compassion. These are all good lessons, all good activities for our students. But there's a problem with doing something like this. And I guess you'll just have to hear me out on this one. What do the arts have to do with learning in SEL? Oh, so much. Join me as we explore the depths of how these things come together through SEL, social, emotional, artistic learning. We'll look at the mindset, the methods, and the integrations that make SEL so effective. So plug yourself in. It's time to get inspired. Hey everybody, Elizabeth Peterson here from the Inspired Classrooms podcast. Thanks for tuning in. So let's say that you find one of those types of lessons and it's really engaging and seems so meaningful, right, for your students to experience. You complete the lesson, your students love it, and you feel amazing having completed such a successful activity with your kids. But here's the thing. You can't just do one or two lessons like this and then call it done. With real good social emotional learning, you really need to have a holistic approach to things. And there's a way to establish SEL into your teaching and even into your school that will create some of the most lasting results for your students and for you. And for this, I want to describe the SEL framework for you, because when SEL was created, it wasn't meant to be a bunch of lessons that a teacher can take and then just, give lesson after lesson after lesson to his or her students and kind of just, everything turns out wonderful. No, there's a method to this, and it all has to do with the SEL framework. There are 3 parts to this framework. I call them waves because SEL, social, emotional, artistic learning, has an ocean theme to it. And so for each phase of the framework, we call them waves. And the first wave is a really important one, and I hope that you agree. The first wave has to do with the SEL teacher mindset. Because let's face it, with the way things are right now in education, and they've been like this for over a decade now, teachers really need to understand their role in the classroom, and they need to be able to have that feeling, that mindset that they do make a difference in their classroom every day. And in that first wave, I think it's important for teachers to really fully understand, all the things that they do for their classrooms and how they approach their students and how they approach teaching in general and how they, design and decorate their classrooms. All these things play a huge part in who you are as a teacher and how you portray yourself to your students and to their families for that matter. And so with SEL, we talk a lot. Maybe you can hear my cat's little bell in the background. With SEL, we talk a lot about the 3 C's of a SEL teacher, and those are care, connection, and creativity. And when you can master or get to a point where you're starting to master those 3 things in your classroom, boy, that is the path to making a difference in your students' lives every single day. All right, the second wave is called the SEL teacher methods. And this is where you learn how to bring good quality social emotional activities into your classroom that fit your schedule, that fit your students' needs, that fit the grade level that you teach, that fit your style of teaching. And these methods are varied, right? Some of them are what we call embedded strategies. And these are strategies that just become part of your natural class day. They fit into your routines. They help students transition into the classroom. They help students focus in on their learning. They help you be able to check in really quickly with your students at various points throughout the day. These are the embedded strategies that really make the social and emotional learning happen naturally every single day. So those are the embedded ones. And then there are the consistent strategies that you might pull out once a week or once a month to really hone in on relationship building and students understanding that, they have a place in your classroom and they have a place inside of your community. Those are so important for students to understand. And we call them consistent strategies because those are things that you do not just once and be done with it, not necessarily every single day because that would be way too much. Like the embedded strategies, those are pretty much daily, but these are not. These consistent ones are ones that you do consistently so that students really have a chance to let these ideas and these, what's the word I'm trying to think of? These like principles of what is invested and involved with social emotional learning, let it become part of who they are. And so that they truly understand things like kindness and relationship building and communication and, teamwork. And even things like conflict resolution, those types of things. It's really important stuff, right? For the classroom and beyond. So that's embedded strategies, consistent strategies. We also have SEL lesson plans. And these are lessons that you can pull from at a moment's notice. There are a lot that are kind of just done for you, or you can design your own SEL lessons where you're looking at the students that you have in front of you and understanding what it is that they need. And then you're providing an activity, an experience that is what they need. And it's based in an art form or in some type of creativity. A lot of the SEL teachers that go through our course love creating lesson plans that are SELified, that's what we call that, SELified, because they take something that they're already doing in their academics, in their content area, and then they layer in an element of social and emotional learning on top of that really hones in on what their students' needs are. So if you have a group of students that are having a hard time getting along, you can pull from a lesson that will help them. If you have students that have a hard time identifying their own emotions and can't get past something when they're stuck, that's something that we can build a lesson around because that's what your students need. A lot of programs just have a bunch of lessons and activities that you need to have all of your students go through, once a week, whether they need the understanding or not, and it's never truly engaging in the same way that you can be engaging with the arts and creativity. But for this is about those experiences, and it's also about making sure you're doing things that your students truly need so that they can develop those social and emotional skills. All right, and then we've got the third wave. And that is where you truly discover and engage. You can engage in all the different integrations of how SEL, of how the arts can integrate with all of the different social emotional competencies, the self-awareness, the relationship skills, the decision making, the self-awareness, the social awareness, the self-management, all of those things, and how they integrate so perfectly with all the art forms. The big thing I want you to understand with SEL is that it really truly needs to be a holistic approach, right? It's not something that you can just do once or twice. It's also not something that you can do, once a week for 6 weeks. Instead, you need to make the social emotional teaching that you do and the learning that the kids receive to become something that happens naturally inside of their day. Because if we think about this, social emotional learning is something that they will carry on throughout their lives, right? Understanding how to work with others, understanding how to interpret their own emotions and how to work with that, understanding differences among their peers and how to work with others and how to build things and make good decisions throughout their day. These are all skills that they need to have in life. And being able to practice those skills in the life that they have right now as this holistic approach is the best way to go about it. So what are your thoughts? I would love to know what you think in terms of social emotional learning being a holistic approach when you bring those experiences into your classroom, not just once or twice, but all the time, because social and emotional growth is constantly happening. So if we can influence that in our classrooms in a positive way and in a natural way, our kids could go so far. All right, I want to know what your thoughts are. Go ahead and DM me on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. I'm The Inspired Classroom on all those platforms. You can find me, Eliza Peterson, on LinkedIn. All my links are down there in the show notes. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will catch up with you in the next episode. Thanks so much for listening. Please be sure to subscribe as we continue talking about arts, learning, and SEL through SEAL, Social Emotional Artistic Learning. If you want to learn more, go to theinspiredclassroom.com. My name's Elizabeth Peterson, reminding you to get inspired so that you can be inspiring to your students.